Hey, how's it going, everyone? My name is Hector, and you're listening to Norcore TV. Today's podcast number 2, Don't Waste Your 20s. All right, so we're going to talk about how to get there, how to not waste your 20s through 4 easy steps. Step 1, find your goals. Step 2, leverage your will. Step 3, save your money. And step 4, invest in yourself. Those are 4 easy steps on as to what I believe are ways to prevent you wasting your 20s. So let's hop right into it. I am 22 years old. I am a sergeant in the United States Marine Corps. As of right now, my biggest goal in life financially is to actually have $1 million before I reach the age of 42. So right now I'm 22. I want to have $1 million worth of assets by the time I reach 42. So let's see how that goes. That gives me 20 years. All right. Next, my career goal. My biggest goal in life is to be an astronaut. I still want to be an astronaut. After so many years, everybody else has given up on this goal. I am the only person I know of that I've met that still wants to be an astronaut. I remember growing up, I used to ask my mom for telescopes. I wouldn't ask her for the PlayStation 2. I wouldn't ask her for toys. I wanted a telescope and I wanted a microscope. Now, when I got that telescope, I actually ended up taking it apart and didn't know how to put it back together. So that was a waste of money. But I did get my telescope, so I can't complain about that. So one of the biggest issues I see with people when they find their goals or when they have defined their goals, it's it's that they believe they are no longer happy once the road begins to get difficult. I've always hated those commercials, those college commercials. They tend to be college commercials. They're like, "Are you tired of your dead end job? Are you trying to find your passion? Do you want to be happy?" It's always about being happy. It's like, "Are you unhappy with your dead end job? Are you unhappy with your career?" It's always about not being happy. And now that's not to say that I don't believe you should go out and seek what makes you happy. But oftentimes those goals that we set for ourselves, that made us happy initially. We began working on towards those goals and we were happy. And then all of a sudden we witnessed a little bit of adversity, right? Adversity, as we discussed in the last video. We witnessed a little bit of adversity and we begin to convince ourselves that our goals no longer make us happy. That what we've accomplished no longer makes us happy. Right? It's gonna get hard, but we shouldn't forget the reason as to why we define those goals for ourselves. It's not always about being happy. Sometimes it's gonna get rough, and when it gets rough, you have to move forward. It's the same thing with a relationship, right? Sometimes you're not happy, but love isn't necessarily as a lot of people like to say. Love isn't about being happy. Love is about work and putting the work and putting in the effort, right? So find your goal. Find your goal. That's important in your 20s. Don't wait till last minute to find your goal. Find that in your 20s. Next, we're going to talk about leveraging your will. So, a lot of older people like to say that 20-year-olds are filled with energy, right? Energy. They wish they had that energy when they were 30, 40, 50. But 20 is the prime age to have all that energy, to have all that willpower. So you have to ask yourself, how bad do you want it? So when I was in high school, in senior year of high school, I adopted this lifelong learning mindset. I always wanted to learn whatever it was, whether it be and this wasn't even in high school. This was actually much sooner. This was like elementary school. I always wanted to learn something new. I went through a Japanese culture phase when I was in middle school. I went through like a little poetry phase when I was in elementary school. Well, I went through like a medieval gesture phase when I was in high school, in senior year of high school. So I was trying to learn cardistry. I was trying to learn how to juggle. So I'm going to talk about when I tried to learn how to juggle. So I saw a jester, and that's exactly what I wanted to do. I didn't want to be a jester, but the jester personality appealed to me. So I was trying to learn everything a jester would know how to do. That includes singing, juggling, doing card tricks, stuff like that, right? So the first day I attempted to juggle, I didn't juggle once. Not a single time did I manage to juggle any of the balls. So I was trying, didn't learn it the first day. Second day, again, I would spend hours. I eventually learned that instead of having to bend over and grab all these balls from the ground, I would just have to lean over a couch. That way I wouldn't have to be constantly chasing after balls or leaning after balls. I could just simply have them fall on the couch and then I'll just grab them and start all over. So it took me about a week and a half to fully learn how to juggle. And that wasn't like, it wasn't full on juggling. I learned how to juggle maybe 3-4 times and then I would drop the ball. Eventually, I actually mastered juggling. If you ask me to juggle today, easy. Excuse me. Now I have it. Now I have it mastered. So now I know how to juggle to this day, even still. right? So I really wanted to learn how to juggle, and I learned it. Some cardistry tricks. You have your charlier cut. That took me like about a week to learn. I learned it today. I can do it. Thumb cut, scissor cut, a variety of different cuts and cardistry techniques that I learned as well. Those took me time. I really wanted to learn. So how bad do you want it? Next, eventually I ended up going to boot camp. Of course, before I went to boot camp, I had to be physically fit. Fun fact, growing up, I was always an obese kid. Always. So at my heaviest, I weighed 200 pounds, and I only stand at about 5'5". So I'm not the tallest man alive, right? 5'5", 200 pounds. If you have an imagination, go ahead and visualize that. That is an Oompa Loompa. That is a dense man right there. So of course, before I could get admitted to boot camp, I would have to lose weight, right? I ended up dropping 100. I ended up weighing 130 pounds by the time I went to go speak with a recruiter. I accomplished that through running, a lot of running, a tremendous amount of running, and a dramatic decrease in my caloric intake. That's not to say it wasn't healthy. It was healthy, but it was. I definitely did have to struggle with my will oftentimes because I wanted to lose weight. So eventually, I got shipped out to boot camp, and boot camp is a mind game. For those of you who have done boot camp, you guys of course now know boot camp was not the most challenging, but that's because we're all Marines and we all like to think back and say, you know what, it was pretty easy. But mentally, boot camp's not the easiest. All right, so I ended up passing through that. Today, how bad do I want? What do I want badly today? Well, today I really want to be a fighter pilot. I want to be an officer in the Navy. So right now I'm in the Marine Corps. I want to actually be a naval aviator. So that's the thing I want the most today. That's how bad I really want that bad. So every day I'm trying to pull out the pilot handbook of aeronautical knowledge and refresh some knowledge. I'm trying to hit the gym so I could get a better PFT, CFT. I'm enrolled in school, trying to get those college credits so that I could actually go through OCS and eventually become an officer and eventually become a pilot. That's what I am leveraging my will today. So in high school, I was leveraging my will to be a juggler. Today, as an adult, as a sergeant in the Marine Corps, I'm leveraging my will to be a fighter pilot. All right, so that's leveraging your will. Next, we're going to talk about saving money. Saving money is extremely important. I absolutely love talking about money, especially with junior Marines, new Marines, anybody, my siblings, people. Money is important. Money is really, really important. So, as I always like to say, save before you spend, right? Before you spend anything. So, quick story real quick. When I first had my job, I got my first job. I didn't know how to spend money. I mean, I didn't know. I knew how to spend money. Everybody knows how to spend money. I didn't know how to use my money appropriately. I didn't know about saving. I didn't know about much. I knew money was designed to be spent. That's all I knew. So the first job I was actually a cashier at a Mexican restaurant. I had 2 windows and 2 drive-thrus. It was rough, but I only got paid about $9 an hour, give or take. Not much, right? So everything I earned, I would spend right away. Eventually, I got shipped off to boot camp, and boot camp starts paying you the first day you step on the yellow footprints. That's when you begin getting paid. So I've been getting paid ever since. E1 pay grade is not a lot, but the second you get out of boot camp, you have about $2,000 to $3,000. I want to say completing boot camp. The first thing I did was buy myself a computer and buy myself a phone. A high-end computer and a high-end phone. Big mistake. What I should have done was save most of that money and just bought myself a basic phone. I didn't need much. Right? So know how to treat money. As I really want to implore this, when you first get a job, please don't spend it all. Save a little bit. Save at least 10 to 15% of the income, right? Next, save the promotion. So for those of you who are in the military, you get promoted after a certain period of time. After you could get meritoriously promoted, or you could get promoted based on your time in service. Or maybe even if you have a normal civilian job outside in the civilian sector, save the promotion. With that being said, that means live below your means. So as a junior Marine, I had this habit of trying to live above my means, trying to have the most expensive thing, trying to have the most high-end phone, trying to have the most expensive plan. I was living above my means, and I wasn't saving any money. And that's my biggest regret, is that I did not save enough money the first 2.5 years of my military service. That's my biggest regret that I have today. So save the promotion, live below your means. If you start off making $500 and you get promoted, now you make $700, save the promotion, save the difference. $200 is what you should be putting in a savings account. See, speaking of savings accounts, a high yield savings account is what you should have. I'm not talking about Navy Fed or Front Wave Credit Union. I'm talking about a high yield savings account. One that gives you 2.5, 2.1, anything in the 2% APY, right? That's what a high yield savings account is. You should have in the savings account about 3 to 6 months of sufficient funding to cover 3 to 6 months of expenses. So make sure this money is in a high yield savings account. Don't let it sit there doing nothing in your traditional 0.03 or 0.06% APY savings account. This is critical. Next, you want to invest. Now, you can invest in real estate. You could, of course, real estate's a little bit difficult, but there are different ways you can invest in real estate, and we're not going to cover that right now because it's a long topic. You can invest in that. You can invest in stocks. I like to invest in stocks. So right now I actually prefer M1 Finance. So I'm sure a lot of you have heard of Robinhood. You've heard of M1 Finance, Acorns. I originally started with Robinhood. I didn't know what I was doing. I ended up losing money. I then switched over to Acorns, and I made a little bit of money. As most of you guys probably know, Acorns is automated. They have their own They have their own portfolios. You don't do anything. You just simply pick a portfolio. If you want it aggressive or if you want it conservative, you pick it and you just earn money based on what they have preset. Next, you have M1 Finance, and I have M1 Finance right now. Essentially, you have a pie chart, right? And you begin adding different companies, adding different stocks, adding different indexes to your choosing. Once you become more experienced and once you become more knowledgeable, I highly recommend M1 Finance. For those of you beginning to invest, I recommend Acorns. So begin investing your money in something of that nature, something that's going to give you something that's going to generate passive income over time. So get an emergency funds, 3 to 6 months, and some of the money also invested. All right. So lastly, I want to talk about investing in yourself. So we're investing our money, we're saving our money, we're leveraging our will, but we need to invest in ourselves as well. Our time is critical. We only have a finite amount of time. So when you think about investing in yourself, you want to think about what is critical to the goal you have set. Remember, that's the first step, is find your goal. Well, what does it take to accomplish that goal? So I want to be a fighter pilot. What does that take? Well, one of the skills that would take is actually being knowledgeable in aeronautics. Another critical skill that I would have to acquire is piloting. Another thing that I'm also going to have to acquire is a degree. So that is critical for my goal. So you want to be able to figure out what skills are critical in your goal, and you want to invest in yourself and actually become knowledgeable and learn how to apply those skills. You want to get away from distractions. So Sunday fun day, drinking every single weekend, going clubbing, all that good stuff, that is preventing you from accomplishing your goal. And that is also feeding into why you're not happy, and that's also feeding into why you're giving up on your goals to begin with. So you want to get away from the distractions. Remember, you have to leverage your time. As you're leveraging your will, you also have to leverage your time. Get away from Sunday fun day. Get away from YouTube. Believe it or not, get away from YouTube. And get away from TV. All right? So, in my opinion, that's how you prevent from wasting your 20s. First, you find your goal. Second, you leverage your will. Third, you save your money. And fourth, you invest in yourself. If you don't want to waste your 20s, do these 4 things, and you're going to have a fruitful 10 years of your 20s. All right? So if you have any questions or you have any opinions, comments, concerns, complaints, feel free to go ahead and comment that on the comment section. Thank you for listening. You're listening to Norcore TV. Thanks.